Hello, everyone, and welcome along to the latest This is the Music Meets podcast, an independent podcast show that shines a light on rising artists from the new music scene from across the UK and Ireland. If you're new to the podcast, then please hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any future episodes, and feel free to leave us a comment and 5-star rating, as it really does help us beat those annoying Spotify and YouTube algorithms. It's now time for episode 102. And I'm delighted to be joined by emerging solo artist Ryan Redwood. And over the course of the latest episode, we're going to talk about his debut EP, 20-something Romance, supporting Twin Atlantic, Reverend and the Makers, and Joel Stoker from the Rifles, plus Lowestoft Live. Ryan, it's a huge thanks to you and a big welcome for you to coming on for the podcast tonight. How are you doing?
I'm all good, mate. Thank you very much for having me. Hope you're doing well as well.
Yeah, I can't complain. Yeah, generally seems to be all right. Apart from as we were just saying
Yeah,
off air
little
there, that
bit of
obviously
flu.
yeah, got a bit of man flu. It's deadly stuff. This, so really contagious.
Oh,
Yeah.
dear. Bless you, mate.
But yeah, whereabouts in the world are you joining us from tonight?
I am in my home studio in Lowestoft tonight.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, looks
yeah,
really
man.
liking the setup there with your little Beatles memorabilia and stuff that you got up there
Yes,
on the little
got a big
shelf. That
fan.
looks
I've
cool.
got so much stuff to add on the walls. I've recently like redecorated it all and just put
Yeah.
like the soundproofing and stuff up. So I've got like loads of posters and stuff, like gig posters and little trinkets and stuff I need to go on the walls. But yeah, it's getting there, mate. Slowly but surely.
Brilliant. That's what we like to hear. And yeah, wouldn't mind seeing that once it's all set up
I'll have to
and
do a tour. I'll do a YouTube video. Hey guys, Ryan here. Welcome to my crib. This is inside the
bring
fridge.
back the MTV
Butter and
cribs.
milk. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I'll definitely tune in for that episode. So at least you know you got at least one person to be out there
Get
watching
in there.
it. So obviously we've obviously been chatting for probably the best part of about a year, I think, on and off,
I reckon
across
so,
the
yeah.
socials and various WhatsApp messenger groups and all of that. And it is great, honestly, to finally actually get to meet you virtually at at type of thing. But let's kind of like go back to the very beginning before we come on to all the exciting stuff that you've been up to in the last sort of
Yeah.
12 to 18 months or so, and probably a little bit longer than that, actually, to be fair. But kind of like growing up, what are your sort of like earliest musical memories?
A lot of my earliest musical memories probably just stem from being in the back of the car with like mum and dad and that, to be fair, just listening to like anything from like Oasis to Echo and the Bunnymen, all like the sort of 80s scene. Mum's a big fan of like 70s stuff like Luther Vandross and that as well. So
Yeah.
like my earliest memories of that would probably be in the back of the car. Don't know where we're going, but somewhere. Going somewhere, probably B&Q or something. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Just listening to What's the Storyboard of Glory. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff, really. Like, and then just from there, sort of, I didn't really get into music, like, as in playing like an instrument or writing tunes until like my early teens, really. I sort of was so into football and all that, like every like lad is growing up in the UK. We all just think we're going to be the next Cristiano Ronaldo between the ages of 8 and 12, and then you realise I'm probably not that committed. You know what
Or in my case, or my excuse is that I found alcohol, and that was kind of like it. Really, it was a downward
Yes,
spiral
I
from there.
always say that to people. Like everyone's like, "Oh, why don't you play football anymore?" It's like because I discovered getting paid in a covers band and going out for free on that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah,
can't complain.
yeah,
Like, I ain't waking
abs-
up on a Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. No, I know exactly how you feel, and yeah, playing with a hangover is not
Nah.
always the best. And what about then, like your first gig? Can you remember who that was?
Oh my god. First gig. It would have been in. I had like going back to the covers band. Actually, it might not have been before that. Actually, we sort of did like these school gig nights. Like early high school. So for high school for me it was like year 9 when it started for me. I
Right.
know now it's all changed. It's really confusing, but yeah, for me it was like year 9, and I think through like the music lessons they encouraged people to just like learn a couple of tunes together. So I think we were learning like American Idiot by Green Day,
Nice.
and like all that sort of stuff. And there's like a video somewhere. Oh, this is all coming back to me now. Oh no, there's like a video somewhere of that gig, and like for some reason I picked these sunglasses up and like put them on, and I think I'm like the man. It's so embarrassing now. Like looking back, I'm like, who did I think I was? Like little mini Alex Turner rocking up in sunglasses, playing American Idiot by Green Day. It makes no sense at all. But yeah. So
Yeah,
that'd have
but
been, yeah, first gigs. That's where it all started, man.
yeah, but I mean, wearing sunglasses indoors, that's like a rite of passage in it for like rock and roll stars, right? So it has to be
I
done.
think you've got to get to a point though, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, surely have like a, I don't know, a top 20 record first, and then you can start thinking, yeah, I can wear sunnies where I want. Like,
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're probably right, to be fair. And what about going to watch? Can you remember the first gig that you went and watched?
my first, I mean, the first sort of, I guess you can kind of count it as like a local gig. There was like a really good Britpop covers band called the Bricktops that were about, and they used to do like loads of stuff. They were on like every local festival. They were my first like proper like pub sort of vibe gig where it was a bit rowdy, and then like the first, I say proper venue gig. I always count them as like two different things.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
at the waterfront, seeing Reverend and the Makers.
Oh, right, okay. And we're obviously
Yeah.
we're going to come on
Mm.
to them in a little while, and obviously sort of almost like a full circle moment then, really, by the sounds of it. But just before we do, obviously you first started releasing music in 2021. You obviously put out a couple of songs even in that year. You had a song called 10 out of 10 and Late, which if I remember must have been roughly roundabout in the time of lockdown, right?
I
I
reckon,
can't remember
yeah, I
what.
think there was 10 out of 10 was definitely in lockdown, because I
Yeah.
remember that was the first time I sort of spoke to, because Sam, that my producer and like one of my best mates now, used to be a drummer in one of my old bands, and he started doing production stuff when he left
Mm.
uni, and I remember saying like I need someone to produce my tunes because I was stuck indoors, had no idea, couldn't be bothered to learn, mate. Do you know what I mean? To be honest, we had so much time. I just got my head around demoing. I was like, I can't be bothered to learn how to mix. Do you know what I mean? I was like, someone help me. Like, anyone. I didn't really care who it was at the time. And Sam was just like, yeah, mate, I'll help you out, sort of thing. So then that stemmed me and him being friends again. But yeah, 10 out of 10, straight out of lockdown. Just wanted to, I'd get back on it, because I was in a couple of bands before, didn't quite
Mm.
work out. I sort of took a big break from music, and then I just sort of started writing again before lockdown with the intention of getting out and gigging. And then lockdown happened, and then it was like, well, now I can't gig, so I got to
Yeah.
learn how to record and all that. So yeah, I did all that, and then yeah, got them tunes out.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Because I was actually going to ask, yeah, what was the thinking? Because obviously it was a weird time for everybody.
Mm,
The whole world literally did stop. But I guess as well for like musicians as well in particular, it was probably quite tough. But I think probably the one, excuse the pardon the pun here, the one positive that did come out of it was that it did actually allow you know guitar
mm.
bands and solo artists and all of that to actually have to come to the to come bubbling back up to the top again. And I think that's kind of
Yeah,
like where
definitely.
we are. We're still getting that bear, what's the word, I can't think of the word, but still getting that enjoyment out of that, and that sort of the success, I guess, out
Yeah.
of
I think
lockdown, I
I
suppose.
think we're still catching up, mate. To be honest, like
Mm,
the amount of records that are still coming out, I feel like I don't feel like we've ever had a couple of years like we have done since, where all the bands have been as prolific. Do you know what I
mm,
mean? Normally
yeah.
goes through a cycle, bring an album out, you do a tour, go away for a year, come back. I feel like bands now, because it's so readily available to them, and they can just do stuff in their bedroom if they want to and release it like straight away,
Mm.
without any middleman. They're just, it's constant at the moment. It's quite hard to keep up with, to be honest.
No, definitely you are right, and I think again that is one of the advantages, isn't it, of like the streaming
Mm.
side of things. We won't get too much into the lack of money
We'll be here all day,
that they
mate. You
all
know what
give, but it's all very well known, isn't it? Which is very bizarre. I
I
still
mean?
can't quite get my head around it, to be honest. But
Crazy times, mate. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
definitely, definitely. So obviously then 2022. You obviously came out with two more singles, and then you then put out another one last year.
Yeah.
kind of like, first of all, I want to focus on, so that obviously then gives you at that point 5 singles,
Mm.
effectively. Um, what I'd like to know is if you were to recommend to the This Is the Music listeners 3 songs that they were going to listen to from Ryan Redwood for the first time, what 3 songs would you recommend?
Uh, um, good question. I reckon, to be fair, I'd probably start with Late. I think Late is, especially live for me at the moment, seems to be. I play it last. It seems to be the one everybody sort of sings along to. Sort of easiest one to sort of get involved in. Tells a really good story. It does everything I wanted to do in a tune at that time, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great starting point. And then I'd go to Once Again. I reckon the one after that, yeah, that came out the one last year. Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah.
That came. Honestly, I lose track of time, mate. That was like the one after that, which is sort of just a more. I guess it's sort of a little bit more. I hate using the word experimental because I don't have the vocabulary to be able to describe it properly, but experimental in a way. Like it was just a bit different. There's different sounds on there. A hint at like the acoustic sort of vibe, which I went into with the EP, which would probably then lead you onto a tune like Away, which is on the EP. So I'd probably go Late, Once Again, then Away, I reckon. You did ask for 3, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
I've just named all 5 there. Yeah. But I mean, why?
Oh, God.
While everyone's there, you may as well just crack on and listen.
Might as well.
Listen to the other 2 as well, right? And then obviously, which you've just sort of mentioned there with the EP, that obviously came out at the back end of last year. It's called 20 Something Romance. Fantastic EP. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you, mate. Much appreciated.
When it
Cheers.
first came out, and I think that's sort of when our sort of conversations were probably a little bit more regular than what they've been prior to that. But what can you tell us about the EP, and kind of like the theme of it? Is there like a message at all that you're trying to get across in it?
I think the EP, like, it sort of came from after this is the 3rd time I think I've mentioned Reverend and the Makers, but after the gigs where I supported them, because they were like acoustic gigs. Like I never, as much as I am like a solo guy, like I go out acoustic guitar, but when I'm supporting bands, it is normally like a full band. So for me, because I'm not your like archetypal sort of acoustic guy who's quite mellow, I'm quite just, even though it's just me, I'm quite big on stage and I give it everything, and I'm like, let's go, like acting like it's an arena. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, Manchester, hands up, are we doing it or what? Like sort of thing. Everyone's probably thinking, who is this lunatic with a guitar? You know what I mean? But because them gigs with Rev were like quite chilled out, bit more like lean into the acoustic thing, because obviously he was doing acoustic stuff as well. It was a bit like, after that I wanted to do an acoustic EP to start with. I was like, I've got these tunes, I think they sound really good, just me and the guitar, maybe some keys, maybe a little bit of percussion and stuff. And I didn't really want to flesh it out too much, but then the more I was demoing, the more I was layering them up, and then I put a full drum kit on it, and then everything sort of come together, and I was like, right, it's full band now, I might as well just release it full band. Then I took it to Sam, and then obviously he does his magic on it and stuff, and yeah, I'm really proud of it. In terms of like a message, I think it's just about, like it says it on the tin, like 20 something romance. Like I think all the struggles we sort of feel growing up with in your 20s, maybe going to uni and stuff and being away from someone like you really love, and like the trials and tribulations that come with your friends getting involved, and maybe your parents don't get on that well. It's like there's a lot of sort of running themes in there. It's just like, the struggles of being 20 and trying to like pursue your life with the person that you really care about,
Yeah, no, sure. And you've got 3, obviously it's 4 songs on it, but there's one that's a demo, right? And like, I don't know what's the right word. Like a complete song. I don't even know if that's the right. I don't know.
To be fair, the only reason the 4th one's a demo is because I just didn't have time to finish it, and I was like, we had this like phone recording of it, and I thought it sounded really cool, and I was like, there was a point where I was like, I don't know what to do with this song. Right? It sounded really raw and natural with just me and the acoustic guitar sort of mumbling through these lyrics, and I was sort of like, just put it on. I was like, we're taking too much time trying to figure this out. Let's just put it on. We'll call it a demo so no one thinks it's the real thing. And then if people like it, happy days. If they don't, it's a demo. Who cares?
And coming next in Ryan Redwood's releases is actually the full the
Yeah,
full version of
full
that.
track. Oh God.
just,
One
just
day.
in case anyone is wondering, I have no power. If you are liking that song over Ryan, to just get that one out there. But kind of like then, what was the recording process like then? And obviously, you've said there already that you're in your sort of home studio type thing. Is that where you recorded all of it? You know, because you said there you layered
Yeah.
the drums on. Are you doing that all yourself?
Yeah, so this one is different to all the rest of them. Normally, I sort of demo them, and then me and Sam go to the studio and re-record everything. But with
Yeah.
this one, because it started off as like the acoustic EP, it was sort of already recorded like the acoustic guitar, like a rough vocal, some keys parts and stuff. Then it just got to a point where I was just layering up every tune, like you say, putting a full kit on just through like garage band, tapping in the drums myself,
Yeah.
sort of thing, and obviously playing the bass myself, recording everything myself here. And then I think the only thing we actually did in the studio was the vocals, because like as much as this is like a great room to record vocals in, this like
Yeah.
sometimes it's just sketchy. Do you know? And it just doesn't sound quite right. And it always sounds
Yeah.
better if you do vocals in a studio with the acoustics and everything. And Sam's really good at micing up vocals as well. I'm not like great with microphones and stuff, so
Mhm.
like as much as I know, use a condenser. That's about as far as my knowledge goes on recording vocals. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we sort of did the vocals with Sam in the studio, but I think that was literally the only thing I think we did. I think he might have re-recorded. Yeah, he did. He re-recorded the drums as well. So the drums and the vocals we did in the studio, but everything else was done literally right here. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think like maybe in the future you might go, do you know what, instead of actually having the song, virtually all done at home, would you ever think that you might turn up at the studio and go, do you know what, I'm going to set myself a challenge today. I'm going to try and write a song in the studio and then get it recorded, or do you think that might
Yeah.
put too much pressure on?
No, I've done that sort of stuff in the past, like ages ago, like in sixth form and stuff through bands, and we were like sort of forced to do that. And I really do like doing that. I think I would love to do that. I think the only thing is time. Like it saves so much time just
Mhm.
doing it here, like sort of thing, and then taking it somewhere else later. Yeah, but I'd definitely like to go into a studio with nothing one day and just sort of see what comes out. It's definitely something I'd like to do. I'd like to do that if we'd like did an album or something. Sort of
Yeah.
leave two or three tracks to the side. Maybe have an idea, but then sort of just go in and go, let's do something. Like go in with the band and just say let's jam and see what happens, sort of thing. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right. Cool. So let's go away from the studio, sort of the recording aspect of music for the minute, and let's talk live music.
Yeah.
You've obviously had over the last sort of 18 months, sort of 2 years, I guess, really, a couple of really, prestigious support slots. You've
Mm.
been supported Corella, Reverend and the Makers, Joel Stoker, and Twin Atlantic. Just reading off those names, I mean, that's some fantastic artists there to have been, sharing a stage with. What was the experience like for you?
Like honestly, I I struggle articulating it in like a way that doesn't make me sound like I'm a massive fan of all those bands, because I am a massive fan of all those
Yeah,
bands.
yeah,
Like, especially like I say, I mentioned again, Reverend and Makers, like the whole full circle thing when, when on my first gig being at the waterfront, and then
yeah.
to catch myself. I think it was like 10 years as well. I think it was like 10 years since that point
Right.
playing on that stage with him. Like it was, and he borrowed
Yeah.
my guitar because he broke a string. It was a whole thing. We went for a pint afterwards, and it was like a
Oh,
whole.
wow.
And I was just like, my mum and dad were there because they're massive fans as well. And I think that was probably not the first moment they've ever thought, bloody hell, we're proud of him. But like they were buzzing. Do you know what I mean? They were like, oh, this music is kind of good. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's good. He's doing all right, isn't he? He's doing all right. You know what I mean? So yeah, Rev was amazing. Twin Atlantic were like the nicest people I've ever met. Like they're Scottish as well, so they've got that like Scottish charm, and they're just like they proper took. We had like a little touring party of me, my lovely girlfriend Holly, and Fran, who's like a photographer and one of our best friends. We sort of did a couple of them, just us three, just in the car, sort of up and down the country, sort of thing. And they proper like took us in, let us in the dressing room with them, chilled out, offering people beers out, and just proper like chilled guys. Really good experience. Learned a lot from them, like how professional they are without trying too hard. They're just like they've got the way their thing works, and it
Yeah.
just honestly it runs but it's smooth as butter, honestly. And big shout to Lucy, their tour manager, for that, because they wouldn't know where their head was if it weren't on their shoulders sometimes. You know what I mean? If it weren't for Lucy, that whole operation would go through the floor. But yeah, I honestly I just learned so much from them, from like just supporting like a big band, like, and to see them put their big scale into like smaller venues at the time was crazy. But yeah, it was like having an arena band in like these little venues and stuff was crazy to see. But yeah, I've had such a like, I'm so honoured and privileged to be able to play with these people and like meet them. And like Joel last week was like the most normal person ever. Like you don't expect it from these people. You
Yeah.
sort of expect a little bit of, yeah, I'm the man. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
I'm in the Rifles, mate. You heard Local Boy. Yeah, of course you have. Do you know what I mean? Like you expect it.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
And he walked in and he was just so like quiet, and he was like, "Are you Ryan?" I'm like, "Yeah, mate." And he's like, "Oh, nice to meet you." He shook my hand, and that is with his dad. His dad was like the nicest bloke I've ever met. I was like, "What is happening here?" Like I'm expecting like this, bit of a walk and that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
nicest bloke I think I've ever met, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, shit, it's crazy, mate. It's crazy.
And did you get like any sort of advice at all from any of them? Obviously, we know. Obviously, we mentioned a little bit before about the like the lack of money from the streaming side of things. But was there any advice from any of those artists that you've spoken about?
Do you know what? I think I am silly because I don't ask. Like, I'm set. Like, and a lot of people would probably be listening to this or watching this, thinking, "You're an idiot. Why didn't you bloody ask him about this?" And all that?
Yeah.
But I find it like they probably get it all the time, and I think the reason why I've got on with them all so well and like kept in contact with a few of them since is because I was just normal. Like we're just speaking about normal stuff,
Yeah.
and they were sort of like, "Oh, you got work in the morning? Like, what do you do for work?" I'm like, "Yeah, mate, I got work in the morning." You know what I mean? Like all this sort of stuff. So why are you asking me about work? Like, one thing that John did say is just, and it's so like, I guess it's sort of a little bit cheesy in a way, but sort of just be true to yourself and don't let anybody tell you to do something if you don't want to do it, sort of thing. And yeah, to get that little nugget of wisdom from someone like him who has been around the block, especially with like labels and stuff like that in the past. Yeah, them sort of little things more than anything, just like, and them saying like, keep going, it's a hard industry, but just keep plugging away, doing your thing, you're doing things right, you're getting places and stuff. Just little things like that, really. Words of encouragement more than advice, I'd say.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So it obviously sounds like you had a fantastic time, and it's great to hear. I'm personally a massive fan of the Rifles and Redwood and the Makers, but the Rifles in particular. And it's really nice actually to hear that, a guy that you certainly in the sort of early days in particular, that you sort of went everywhere to watch them, that they are, such a nice guy. Great to hear. But just sort of coming off of the support sort of artists, or supporting other artists, I should say. We're recording this on a Monday evening, just for anyone that's listening. So this is obviously, you've already announced this, but you've obviously just announced within the last, last couple of hours or so, I think now, that you've got your own headline show at the Stamford Arms on March the 30th. So why should people come down? Not just to see you, but obviously I know you've got two other bands as well, but obviously predominantly to come and see yourself.
Yeah. Just good vibes, man. Like we sort of have a bit of a party. Like every time we've done like a headline gig, like I've had the absolute privilege to do them like all over the place, like Manchester and like Sheffield, and obviously my hometown Lowestoft and that, Norwich, Ipswich, all the rest of it. But in Lowestoft, I don't do them often. Like I'd sort of limit myself to a couple a year, like maybe support someone, then do a couple of headlines in my hometown. Just I don't want to oversaturate it. I don't want people to get bored of me, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, nothing worse than the same bloke playing the same pub every week. Do you know what I mean? Just good vibes. We always try to have a party, a few beers afterwards, and that, more of a celebration, really. I try to make it more, try to bring that sort of big communal outdoor festival vibe into like a
Right.
small place and sort of make everyone feel together as one, as we're part of like one big thing all
Yeah.
together, and all that. And like I say, I'll be giving it the arena special. You know, I'm Ryan Redwood, thank you for having me, and
I
all
love
that. You know
this.
what I mean? It's just worth it for that. I might make a little bit of a melt of myself. Do you know what I mean? Come along for that. That'd be all right. And it's free.
Just for that. That is it. There's no, not for the music, just literally
Yeah, just me
just for
giving it
Ryan
big one.
shout out, come on Manchester. There you go. That'll be the headline for this podcast, mate.
I love it.
And is that going to be all acoustic, or are you getting a band in, or are you looking at that in the future?
That was meant to be a full band gig, but due to like work and stuff, honestly, work is the biggest, like, I think it's the biggest barrier in every band's music career, I think. Because you got to raise the funds to do these things, I guess, haven't you? And
Mm.
so yeah, this one will be fully acoustic, but hopefully later on in the year we're going to get some more full band stuff going, because we did one last year at the place I just supported Joel at, the Seagull Theatre, and we sold
Yeah.
loads of tickets, and it was just absolutely brilliant night. So I'd like to do that again at
Yeah.
some point for sure.
Brilliant. Watch this space,
Yeah, man.
as they say. But as well as obviously being a brilliant solo artist yourself, you've also involved in putting on your own festival, Lowestoft Live. So yeah, what can you tell us about it? When is it?
Yes, man.
And are you? I know you. I do vaguely remember that you had you was running like a not competition, but what's the word, like applications, weren't you, for bands? Are you still
Apply
at
to play,
the
yeah,
moment?
man.
What's the where
Yeah,
are we with
man.
that?
So like Lowestoft Live is it's like what is it called? This is not good. I'm a director. Oh dear. It's it's a CIC. That's the word I'm looking for. We're a CIC, which means
Right.
we're like a community interest company.
Yeah.
Which means for like all our little gigs and stuff that we put on, we sort of get a little bit of funding to be able to help towards that for obviously paying people. Like Cusp, we've got coming down in May. We've had like the Molotovs last year, Joel, who's just been down as well. That was all through like Lowestoft Live. So we're trying to
Right.
proper reinvigorate our local scene and try give it a bit of a boost, because it used to be absolutely booming. Like I was too young to sort of realize at the time. But when I was really, really young, it used to be like bands were coming left, right, and center to play, and all the rest of it. So we're trying to get it back to that point. With the festival, we're doing Falcon Fest in August, which is on I want to say the 17th of August this year, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. If not, just go to Falcon Fest official
We'll have
social
a look.
media. It'll tell you. Do you know what I mean? I think it's the 17th. Apply to Play is available for that now on all the socials. Just Falcon Fest official everywhere. And also we got Calm at the Barn as well, which is over the 27th and the 28th of July, which is another Apply to Play festival. So if you want to get involved, make sure you do. But yeah, we're just trying to get the local scene thriving again, mate,
Mm.
and giving like the young artists in our scene like the platform to be able to do their thing, you know. And so like we got the regular nights down the Seagull Theatre, which are really good. We always try to get like a bigger headliner in, so they're playing in front of people, rather than just doing like a local band night where you just have a few people on
Mm.
and like a few all their mates come, sort of thing. Just try pull someone bigger in, then they're playing to a bigger audience, aren't they? You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, the more exposure for the local scene, the better. So yeah, man.
Yeah, no, wholeheartedly agree with you there. I think there's always been in my view, I think that you know, a little bit of an assumption that, you know, there's only music out of like the major cities, you know what I mean, like
Mm,
London, Manchester, Liverpool, and that's kind of like it. But you know, you're looking around and there's so much talent, you know, across the UK
all
at the minute.
over, man. Yeah.
It's frightening, and I think, you know, if people are prepared to look out and, you know, go and do a bit of research on that and actually find out, then you'll find some equally as good, if not better,
Yeah.
artists in the sort of, you know, don't want to say the smaller places or smaller cities, but you know, that,
The
you
the
know, not
places off
the
the beaten
traditional.
track. Yeah,
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 yeah, that's it. Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
So
man.
yeah, no, all for it, and good luck, and we'll obviously put those links to, you know, to the apply to play. I'll get that right eventually. Up in the up in the old episode bio,
Nice one. Thank
as
you, mate.
well. But just going to move away from music very, very briefly. Obviously, I wrote these questions before yesterday.
Oh
So
no.
the first question I've got to ask is, how does a guy from Lowestoft end up supporting Manchester United in the first place? That's the first question.
That's the burning question. That's probably my most asked question, to be honest. You know what I mean, when I go to Manchester and play and that, everyone's like, "Why do you support United, mate? You're not from around here," like sort of thing. I'm like, well, just through my dad, mate. If I'm just being honest, I think most people probably agree. You always follow who your dad supports when it comes to like sport and football, especially.
Yeah.
Obviously grew up a massive United fan. I think my first game at Old Trafford was like 7 years old or something like that, and I've been trying / going at least 5 or 6 times ever since, sort of thing. Trying to go as much as possible. But yeah, it's bleak times at the moment, mate. I must admit.
Well, I must admit, you were winning before I turned the TV on yesterday, so maybe I should take the blame for it. Yeah, obviously disappointing yesterday, obviously to lose to Man City. But is Ten Hag, is he, the right man for the job? I saw a stat that come up yesterday. He's won, I think 60%, 61% or something of his games in charge. I mean, based on that, he's the best manager Man United have ever had, which clearly is not true. But
no, yeah, I don't know. I'm a big backer or a believer in give your managers time. Like, football's too flippant nowadays. Like, you see it with Chelsea, like especially over the years. Like, wow, like what is going on? Like, and with us, really, like every 2 years we're getting a new manager, and then it's same cycle. I think at the moment we've just got to stick with it, see what happens. I don't think the transfer window at the start of this season was particularly great, but then you look at the rest of the club and sort of go, well, we haven't really had a sporting director or a director of football. Now Jim Ratcliffe's come in, all that stuff's going to get put to right. Everything's going to be sorted out. So hopefully next season, whoever the manager is can push on and be fully supported and have football men and women and whoever around him, rather than working with business people the whole time and worrying about revenue. I think, so I think a lot of Ten Hag's future probably relies on what Jim Ratcliffe and his guys want to do, and Ineos want to do. But I do back him because I think there's good bits in there, like the way he's dealt with Sancho. I'd like, a lot of people might complain about that. I think that's exactly how someone like Sir Alex would have dealt with that. You couldn't come out in the press and make a statement like that against your manager. You just don't do it, do you?
No.
Like when I was growing up, you'd never see any of that. It was a shock when Wayne Rooney put his transfer request in. Do you know what I mean? But he's lucky we turned that around. Like, so yeah, I think, it's hard to say. I'd like him to stay because I personally like him, and a lot of people probably think I'm a bit mad for that, and I do have to argue my case, whoever I talk to about that. But I see a lot of good things. There is obviously a lot of bad things, but then you also look at the squad and you think, well, if we haven't got our starting 11, we're really, really poor. Like, we really are. Like yesterday, no Hoyland, no Martinez, no Party, really, mate. Do you know what I mean? They're two really key players for us. And like, no Luke Shaw, Lindelof at left back. Oh, it's just a mess at the moment, mate. Do you know what I mean? Malacia, I don't know where he's gone. He's gone on holiday for the last 9 months, I think. We got no backup left back. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on, I think, inside the club. But at least Rashford scored an absolute screamer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it was a very, very, very good goal, actually. I have to say it was. I mean, to be fair, if you were to say it had been 1-0 yesterday and that was the winning goal, we'd have gone, do you know what, it deserves, people say, don't they? Deserve to win the game. But yeah, well, obviously we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully you don't improve too much, because West Ham, my boys, we're not only a couple of points, I think, or something like that off of you. So
yeah, you're right up behind us at the moment, aren't you?
We can nip in front of you before the end of the season.
You probably will, mate. There's
well,
no open. I think it's dead.
We've been on a terrible run, to be fair, and there's, you've asked our fan base. They want Moyes gone because they can't stand the football.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, really, they just don't like it. I think the problem is that he's not had Paquetá been out injured up until the last couple of games.
Big player for you lot.
Yeah,
really big player, isn't he?
Obviously, then like a few other teams, obviously the African Cup of Nations, obviously has hit us as well with our maybe one of our best attackers in Kudus. But hopefully now they're back and they're not going to get injured or anything like that before the season ends, and we can crack on and have a strong strong. You know, what have we got? 3-4 months left. So yeah, fingers crossed for us.
Yeah.
But on every This Is the Music Meets podcast, we ask all of the guests the following question: what artists on the sort of underground new music scene have you been checking out over the past 12 months or so?
Cool. Quite a lot to be honest. Like I'm normally quite late to the party. By the time I check someone out, they've already got a debut album out and signed to a record label, and I'm like, oh, well, it's been on the to-do list, lads, for 6 months, and now you're massive. Like, what's happened there? um, one band definitely in particular. I mentioned them earlier because we've got a Lowestoft live gig coming up from a band called Cusp. They're doing unbelievable things at the moment, like timeless tunes for like all ages, and I think they've really cracked it at the moment with their tunes. So definitely worth checking Cusp out. A band that sort of, I feel like they've been around for ages, but only I say only now starting to sort of sell venues out is the Claws. Really
Yeah.
into the Claws at the moment. Saw them at the Waterfront on their independent venue week tour, and unfortunately Piers had lost his voice, so he
Yeah.
did like a shorter set. But they're coming back to Norwich at some point, hopefully. So get to see them again. They're absolutely amazing, and I'll probably give my boys in Candid a shout out as well. They've got an EP coming out which they announced today, which I'm
Yes.
really excited for. Me and Rob have been in touch for ages. He used to do like an old Catfish covers like Instagram page back in the
Right.
day,
Okay. Right. Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
sort of met through then. And when he formed like Candid, like really early days, he supported like one of my old bands in like this really random venue in London. So we've sort of kept in touch since then, and yeah, they're really good lads, and they're doing really cool things. So yeah.
So gonna try and throw some sort of quick fire-ish sort of questions at you now. I don't know why I say that at the start of this segment every podcast, because I don't think my questions are that quick fire, so I can't really expect the guests to come up with a quick fire response. But hey, that's what I call this segment, and we'll see how
We'll
we
wing it.
go with this one. So sort of a sort of reflection for you, really. What has been your top three standout moments since you've been involved in the music industry? And I'm sort of thinking about either, yourself as a solo artist,
Mm.
or, maybe looking at, being with the Lowestoft live as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good that you mentioned the actually last off live stuff, because that makes it probably a little bit easier. Actually, to be fair, I got more of a pull to sort of pull from now. um, before he chokes, swiftly moving on. So I'd probably go free. One of the first ones I'd say, last stuff live related, is when our first sold out Seagull Theatre gig with the Molotovs last year. That was the first time where we all sort of looked at each other and sort of had a big cuddle and went, yeah, we're actually doing good things here. Like, because you go through these patches where like your social media might not be hitting as well, like
Yeah.
gigs might not be selling as well until like a week before, because people are still really hesitant to buy tickets after
Mm,
COVID. Like, it's a whole thing. And
mm.
then for some reason that week, the tickets just started going bang, 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 bang. And we were like, bloody hell, we might be on for a sellout here. And then on the day, we had like 2 tickets left. And then we were like, Des, one of the guys who works at Seagull, just turned around to Darren, one of the other directors, and was like, sold out, lads. And we were like, wow, that's like, like blew
Wow.
our heads off
Yeah,
straight away. I
yeah.
was like, wow, like we are doing something right. Like, it's finally like that little bit of confirmation that sometimes you need to just keep sort of plugging away
Yeah.
at it. So that'd definitely be one of the three. Another one, mention him again, bloody John from the Reverend and the Makers. God, he's getting a lot. Am I getting paid for this? He better throw me 40 quid or something after this. I'm gonna send this to him later. Be like, listen, mate, this is free promo. You know what I mean? Might be getting a sponsored ad any other time. Like,
Yeah.
um, I'd say supported him at the Waterfront, the same venue I saw them.
Yeah.
Like 10 years before that. That was pretty special. Obviously, like I say, sharing a Guinness with him and that afterwards.
Yeah, yeah.
At a little Irish
Amazing.
bar with my parents and stuff was a pretty mad moment. So that one, and I'd probably say when I supported Twin Atlantic in York at a venue called the Crescent. It's
Right.
proper like social club sort of vibe, and
Yeah.
really cool old school sort of venue. And it was a Saturday night, and for some reason the stars just aligned, and like the crowd got me. I got the crowd.
Yeah.
I had a few
Yeah.
mates come down, like I got on the guest list. That sort of probably helped that out a little bit. So they were giving it big in, and everything just sort of felt. It was the first time I think as an artist, like how long have I been doing the solo stuff? Like 3 years now, and
Yeah.
that's probably like the first time in that 3 years where I felt truly at home with not only the crowd and onto stage, but with myself as like a performer, which is quite a deep thing to say, really, isn't it? But like,
No, no,
it's
no, not at
something
all.
I don't know what it was. Just Saturday night, it was the last gig I was doing with them. The crowd were dead receptive. Like it wasn't just like yay, it was like way, let's go,
What?
like
Yeah,
sort of thing. And
wow,
I
man.
was like, whoa, okay, this is real now. And like they were laughing at some of the like stuff I was saying. It was just like, everything was just like clicking, and I was like, yeah, that I felt truly at home that night. So yeah, they'd probably my top three.
Oh, brilliant. There, yeah, wow, that's fantastic, especially with how you've just described the Twin Atlantic
Yeah, man.
gig. That wow, that sounds fantastic
Their
and
fans,
mind-blowing stuff.
honestly. Yeah, shout out to their fans. If any of them come across this at some point, like, I owe you guys a lot. Like a lot of you have stayed like following me on Instagram and that, and yeah, they're just really, really nice people. Not all of them
Yeah.
that I met.
Oh,
Anyway,
brilliant.
there might be some horrible ones out there. Do you know what I mean?
And at the end of the day, that's what you're hoping for, I guess, as a when you're a support artist, to get that a few extra fans coming across, and and all that. So, oh,
Yeah,
excuse
man.
me. My voice has gone there. Wow, that is interesting.
That's the cold
So
catching up. That is.
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Wow. I wasn't expecting that to happen. So what are your three favorite albums of all time?
Oh wow. Three favorite albums of all time. That is God. That's a hard question to answer. I'm just gonna turn and look over here. 2 seconds. And just pick three out. I don't know. I'll tell you what. I'll go down the route of like the three albums that sort of started everything. Like for me, in terms of like music and stuff, I'd probably have to go Arctic Monkeys debut, whatever people say I am. That's what
Yeah.
I'm not. Big album for me, like it probably was for a lot of indie bands, to be honest with you. Like
Mm.
they come bursting out, didn't they, with that? And it's just like last time we
Yeah.
saw a band come bursting out, well, that was probably Oasis, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really, like
Yeah, definitely.
just to go from here to here so quickly. So yeah, I'd probably say that debut, saying Oasis, probably definitely maybe, to be
Mhm.
fair, probably got to be up there. And I'd probably it's really hard. There's going to be I'm going to list this back at some point. I've missed so many.
I'll get a message from you later.
Can we edit that bit, mate? If I send you a voice message, just sneak it in. I reckon because they're like on my mind a lot because they've just recently come back at the moment. I'd probably say The Balcony by Catfish and the Bottlemen.
Yeah.
I think that really, really helped me like hone in on the sort of indie sound that I wanted to go for, especially in my songwriting and making it simple again. Because the time that album come out, all the indie bands were sort of moving into synths and
Yeah.
like that keyboardy, like poppy indie pop sound, whereas Catfish just came out guitar music again. Here you go. Let's try that again. You remember what came out in 2006? We're just going to do that again and see if you like it. And it worked. And they're like one of the biggest like UK bands about, aren't they? Like,
Yeah.
so
No, definitely.
yeah, that's probably the three, I reckon. There's a long-winded way to get there, but we got there.
Well, to be fair, they're three fantastic choices, and I'm guessing obviously Catfish. What do you think of the new song? Are you a big fan of it, or?
I am, mate. I am. It's weird because we don't really know who the band is, do we, at the moment? Like,
No.
and I'm finding that really odd. I guess if you look back, Van has always been the selling point of Catfish, I guess, because he does all the acoustic stuff by himself. A lot of the interviews are just him, and it is his band as such. But it does feel quite odd that we don't know who the band is yet. I think Benji's still there, the bass player, because he's in like the music video and stuff. But the other two have been completely cut out of the clips, and they've got their own projects going on. So that obviously went down like a lead balloon when they split up. But yeah, I'm really into the new tune though, mate. I like the sort of, it's different but not too different. I think if they'd have just come out with something that sounded like the past three albums, everyone would be like, here we go again. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's back again, is he? Oh, brilliant. Like, sort of thing. But I think because it sounds that little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more, I guess it's a little bit more joyful in the way. I feel like he's like owning it a bit. and sort of it does sort of feel a little bit Van Solo-esque, but it still
Yeah.
feels like a band. It's weird to sort of explain, but it definitely suits the big gigs that they're gonna have in the summer and all the rest of it, like Redden and Leeds and that. I think it definitely will
Mm.
land with them big audiences. So yeah, I'm a big fan, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but as you say, it'd be interesting how they, the formation
Yeah,
of the band looking forward, because as you say, it does seem a little bit of a strange one. Even not necessarily saying they have to be in the like all the press photos
of course,
and
yeah.
whatever else. But you think we've obviously bigged this up here behind me, the Liam and John Squire. I
Mm,
think clearly we knew who they were, but
mm.
even just getting told, oh well, you got Greg on bass and whoever's on drums and
Literally,
whatever else,
yeah.
and
Like,
just surprised that hasn't come out yet. It's
yeah,
a
I'm sure it will. As soon as he does an interview with someone, he'll probably put it all to bed and stuff. But yeah, I think there's a lot of answers that need questions that need answers. Especially with what happened with like meant to be supporting Stereophonics and they just dropped out of that, like, and all that sort of
yeah,
stuff, and like how poor, in my opinion, the last Redden and Leeds was, like one of their last gigs. I felt
yeah,
like there was so much disconnect, like there, like why bother doing it if it was going to be like that? I don't know. There's a lot in there, like, but then
yeah.
again, you can't pass up the chance of headlining Redden and Leeds. It's probably
No,
why they're
that's
doing it again to make up for it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, it's a whole thing in it. Like, there's so many questions around them at the moment, but I'm just glad they're back. I can't wait for the new album, and hopefully all the questions get answered and we can just like go off into the sunset, arms up. Do you know what I mean? Peace and love.
Absolutely loving that. So if you could have any artist turn up at your next gig, who would it be?
Probably one of the names you've got behind you there, mate. To be honest, I
Yeah.
reckon that Liam, mate. To be honest, I would just love, even if he slates my tunes, I would absolutely buzz off being in that room. Do you know what I mean? Like coming backstage and he's just sat there going, "That was absolute tosh, Redwood. Like, what are you doing, mate?" I'll be like, "Yes, LG, let's go. Like, come on, let's get out on the beer, mate. Like, let's get out." Yeah, I would absolutely buzz off that, whether it's positive or negative. I think just to have him, I'd pay for him to slag me off. To be honest, he's just like a cameo. He'd be raking it in, wouldn't he? You know what I mean? So I'd get an Oasis back together. Just start a cameo, mate.
Yeah.
You don't need the money.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
well,
what
there's
I
a few of
mean?
them doing it now, isn't there? To be fair,
Exactly.
yeah, I'd
You know
love
what
to
I
see him do it. That'd be very funny. So, what is your favourite song to play live?
Oh, it changes all the time. Like, I think I sort of thought I'd go. I'm quite a weird, like, songwriter and artist in the fact that I fall in and out of love with my songs every day.
Right.
Like, I'll have it like today, mate, buzzing off my tunes. Do you know what I mean? One of them came on the other day. Where was I? It come on in the Mrs. Car the other day, and I was like, "Oh, what a tune!" You know what I mean? This is brilliant. And then like
Who
today,
is
I
this
think,
guy?
yeah, he's quite good. Him, who's this? This is you, Ryan. Oh yeah. Oh. You know, and then, like earlier today, I was listening to like a mix of like the next single, and I was like, I hate it, but I know tomorrow I'll be like, I'll buzz off that again. Like, I'm so
Yeah,
weird. But I think late is always one that's sort of been really good to play live because, like I said earlier, people getting into that
yeah.
one live, especially. And probably I like playing away off the EP as well. That's a good one. 10 out of 10 always gets a good reception because of the chorus and that everyone sort of
Mhm.
sings along to that and sort of thing. It's easy to relate to. So yeah, yeah, I'll probably say late though. Probably my favorite
At the
play
minute.
live at the minute. Today, tomorrow be a different one.
We'll let it in. We'll let it in tomorrow.
Ryan
So,
Redwood 7 days.
so what other plans then have you got in store for 2024?
So, like I just mentioned, new single coming out soon. I've literally just got to do vocals for that next week. And then hopefully we'll be getting the ball rolling on the promo grind. As always, you'll be one of the first to hear it, mate.
Ah,
You know what I mean, you'll
lovely.
be getting that
Thank you.
straight in the DM. Um, I'll be sliding in there going, please, please like my song, please, Mark, please. Um, so yeah, new single first. I'm in a bit two minds at the moment, to be honest. Like, I don't know whether to keep going down the single route because singles seem to be the way forward at the moment,
Mm,
especially with unsigned bands and stuff. Because you're just active all the time, then, aren't you? You've
yeah,
always got
yeah,
something to say and like something to put out there. But I really, really, really want to write an album.
Yeah.
And that I can't. I'm in that bit where it's like, can I go away and write an album, not be as active, do a few gigs? Will I retain the audience retention, or do I
Yeah.
need to keep putting singles out to build it up a bit more before an album? It's just it's a constant battle I'm always having. Like I was meant to do an album last year, and then I ended up
Yeah.
doing the EP instead. So
Mhm.
yeah, maybe I'll do another EP. I don't really know in terms of music. In terms of live, I want to get back up to Manchester as soon as possible. Sheffield's on the list. Leeds as well. Got a few festivals to announce very, very soon. Just getting out there again. Hopefully land some good support slots as well throughout the year. Always emailing. I'm that guy who just pops up in the email. Please, mate, come on. I'm all right. I've got a few good tunes. You know what I mean? I'm cheap. Do you know what I mean? I'm cheap. Do you know what I mean? I'm
That's
less
the turning
expensive than a
point.
band. Like, set me
That
up.
is the selling point. Ryan Redwood, I'm cheap.
I'm cheap.
And we've then got the second promo clip there for the podcast just at the end there. Brilliant, love it. Ryan, unfortunately, that is the end of the This Is the Music Meets podcast. Thanks so much for joining me on episode 102. Honestly, I've had such a great laugh with you, and it's been really, really fantastic getting to find out, about your journey so far, and obviously your various things that you're going to have coming up this year. It really sounds fantastic, and I wish you all,
Oh,
the
mate.
best of luck in the whole world with it. But
Nice one.
before I
Thank
do
you.
let you go, can you just let the This Is the Music listeners know the social media platforms that they can find you on?
Yes, I can. Before I do that, thank you very much for having me, mate. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. Like I was saying before, like absolute pleasure to get having a conversation with you. Like after so long of like texting and that, it's finally like the opportunity we've had to, have a chat and that. So thank you very much for having me, mate. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. In terms of social, just at Ryan Redwood 58 everywhere and anywhere really. And if you're on Spotify, Apple Music, just type my name in, should come up. If it don't, let me know and I'll make it come up.
Brilliant. Well, wow, my voice is going again there. Sorry about that. But yeah, look, we'll obviously put those links up in the episode bio as well, so that you can be found. And as I say, look, honestly, thanks so much for coming on and being really supportive as well across the socials
Anytime, man.
with what we're doing. And yeah, I think everyone's going to really enjoy this episode. And
Hope
yeah,
so.
good.
Hopefully you don't get a comment going, he was rubbish. Don't ever have him back.
Oh, I normally delete those ones before they get out in the public domain.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I
I
can't
love
take
it.
it with my ego. But no, look, I'm sure that everyone's going to enjoy this. And, clear as I say, you've got some fantastic stuff that's going to be happening this year. And yeah, can't wait to hear it, to see it. So good luck with it, mate. Really, really best of luck in the world. And as
Nice
I say,
one.
thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me, mate. Cheers.
One. And all that leaves me to say is to thank everyone for tuning in to the latest This Is the Music Meets podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on any future episodes. And if you're loving the podcast, then please leave us a 5-star rating and written review, as it really does help the bands and artists we interview to be discovered. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you very, very soon for another episode of the This Is the Music Meets podcast.